Transgender kids is a really harder thing. What's going on in Florida is, as my mother would say, close to sinful.
Well, your mother did raise a rather sinful son, didn't she? Calling it like I see it. Welcome back to the JP Reacts channel, my beautiful freedom-loving friend. It's great to be on Team Humanity with you. And here on this channel, as you know, we like to call out the lies, hypocrisy, and corruption of tyrants, call out woke absurdities, as well as highlight the amazing work of other freedom fighters. We absolutely do not have a freedom fighter on this video to highlight anything about, but we have an anti-freedom fighter, a guy who's really pro-communism. You may have heard of him, Senator Joseph R. Biden, who's now pretending to be the president, doing a great job, by the way. Great job. Most popular votes in U.S. history. Amazing job. It's just amazing. So, you're going to take a look at this video of President Biden talking about transgenderism, and specifically he's being very critical of Ron DeSantis in Florida, how they are doing what's called protecting children and making it illegal for mutilators to mutilate the genitalia of kids. You're not old enough to get a tattoo because you're not mature enough to make permanent decisions about your body, your health. But go ahead and get surgery if you want. Just cut that off, insert that, whatever you want. Here's some hormones. You're definitely old enough to do that, but not a tattoo. And you can't drink alcohol yet. Definitely not. So here in this video, President Biden, I don't know if he's technically awake. He looks and sounds very asleep. So let's see what our faithful commander-in-chief has to say.
Transgender kids is a really harder thing.
He could barely say that word without slurring. He didn't have enough energy, but he's pressing on. I'm proud of him.
What's going on in Florida is, as my mother would say, close to sinful.
Wow. How is that for the pot calling the kettle black, or however that analogy goes? President Biden, who would be, from my point of view, incredibly sinful. From my point of view, he is expressing a lot of evil agenda. He lies, he's corrupt, he deceives, he tries to get people to do harmful things to themselves. He is actively participating in the looks like very intentional destruction of the most beautiful country in the world. But for him to sit there, a very godless man, by the way, to sit there and say someone or something else is sinful. If the devil is telling you what is sinful, you might want to bring up your filter and consider that, what the devil is telling you is sinful might actually be virtuous. And what the devil tells you is good and virtuous, virtue signaling, might actually be the sinful category. But you got to think for yourself on that.
I mean, it's just terrible what they're doing.
They're protecting children. That is terrible. It's harder for us to get to the children when they're protecting the children. It is terrible. It's inconvenient. I don't like it.
It's not like, a kid wakes up one morning and says, I decided I want to become a man.
It's not like a kid wakes up in the morning and says, I decided I wanted to become a man. That's exactly what happens. Someone just decides, I want to be a man. I want to be a woman. So it's actually exactly like that.
Or I want to become a woman, or I want to change. I mean, what are they thinking?
What is he thinking? Like, it's exactly like that. You look at what God created, and then you one day decide, I am not what God created. I am not what I am. Some would say that's mental illness. Some would say that's a complete lack of self-awareness. Some would say that's self-rejection. Some would say that's someone trying to escape their pain, their insecurities. They're trying to escape trauma. If you're trying to change who and what you are, you're in the act of trying to escape yourself. And we don't escape ourselves by literally running, because wherever we go, there we are. But how people try to escape themselves is changing their self-identity. identity. It's like a midlife crisis. A guy like figures out, man, I feel empty inside, and let me buy a Corvette. That'll be cool. So what he's really trying to do is change his identity into something cool, something young. The Corvette it symbolizes something he never allowed himself to become. So he's trying to change his identity. We try to escape ourselves by changing our identities. It's human nature. It's not constructive human nature, but it's something that happens to all of us to one degree or another. But it's something that happens when our shadow side is in the driver's seat of our decisions.
They're human beings.
By the way, what's this guy thinking? He's just looking like, what is he thinking? He's like, all right, dude, I'm on the old leftist media. I have to pretend like not only is this guy a normal human being, I have to pretend that he's like a prestigious person. So I like his poker face. I think this guy's doing good.
They have feelings, they have inclinations that are, it just to me is, I don't know, it's cruel.
It's a terribly incomplete sentence. He didn't have any kind of point. It was just a lot of commas. He didn't know what he was saying. But I have to say, everything this guy has said so far, the opposite is true. He's implying if we don't surgically alter these minors, these children that are trying to escape themselves by permanently altering and damaging their health, he's trying to say if we don't allow that, that's cruel. Others, perhaps people who are more connected to God, more connected to truth, would say, no, allowing that is cruel. What these children actually need isn't changing of genders. What they need is love, compassion, and healing. They need acceptance, not necessarily encouragement. It's like if you had a friend who had an eating disorder and you're trying to get them to stop their destructive behavior, then Biden would sit there, dude, you're trying to get that anorexic person to eat? That is cruel. They have feelings. They need anorexia-affirming liposuction treatment. That's what they need.
And the way we do it is we make sure we pass legislation like we passed on same-sex marriage. You
pass legislation where the anorexic absolutely not only has access to liposuction, anorexia-affirming liposuction treatment, but we encourage it. That's the loving, compassionate thing to do. Have you ever heard the saying, the devil masquerades as an angel in disguise? The devil preys on kind-hearted people using beautiful, virtuous things like, the loving, compassionate thing to do is turn in your neighbor.
Mess with that, you're breaking the law, and you're going to be held accountable.
You're going to be held accountable. Okay, like by you, I don't even think he's able to stand up by himself after this. But let's take a quick look at Governor Ron DeSantis's rebuttal to President Joseph R. Biden's really powerful statement here. Checking out Ron DeSantis's tweet embedded in an article here on the Daily Wire. In response, DeSantis says, "It is not sinful to prohibit the mutilation of minors." Fact check, true. It is not acceptable for the federal government to mandate that procedures like sex change operations be allowed for kids. Fact check, true. So with that said, Ron DeSantis, from a political perspective, probably the number one freedom fighter in our country. Joseph R. Biden, from a political perspective, one of the number one freedom takers in our country. You got pro-freedom, you got pro-communism. You pick whose thoughts are more aligned with what your heart, soul, and your own critical thinking believes to be true. This 2024, 4 more years, right, Joe? We got to get them all surgically altered. We're really making people whole again by cutting parts of them off. It's great. It's great. 4 more years. So with that said, my freedom-loving friend, I want to thank the amazing sponsor of today's video, Magnesium Breakthrough, made by Bioptimizers. Check it out. Hey! One of my absolute favorite ways to reduce my stress so I can feel happy and peaceful is with Magnesium Breakthrough. Here's something I wish wasn't true, but we live in a world where you're going to accumulate stress. You see what's going on. You might also have relationship stress, job stress, all the things, the stress goes into you. But the question is, do you let it out or do you accumulate it? Now, if you don't let it out, your quality of life, your anxiety, depression, it just goes up and up and up, and it doesn't feel good. But there's also those of us who choose to do something about it so we can dissipate our stress. And Magnesium Breakthrough is one of my go-tos for helping me relieve stress. Unlike some vitamin mineral supplements out there, Magnesium Breakthrough contains all 7 forms of magnesium in potent forms that you need in order to de-stress yourself. It's an absolute staple in my evening routine. I take 2 capsules that helps me relax. I also find I sleep better and wake up the next day feeling better, more energy, and more peace of mind. Now, if you're someone that just wants to suffer by accumulating your stress, do not take Magnesium Breakthrough. But if you want to take control of your life by de-stressing quickly and easily, check out Magnesium Breakthrough at magbreakthrough.com/JPReacts. And while you're there, use the discount code JPReacts10 for 10% off. Once again, that's magbreakthrough.com/JPReacts. Thank you, Magnesium Breakthrough.